Yeah, y'all doing out there in video land? This is Stiletto coming at you from the Wild Wild West. Well, this is just a little video. I just want to do a little update on this one. I absolutely love this knife, people. I absolutely love it. And I know that these scales, these Ultem scales, are super thin. But I've had this one, back and forth apart, a couple of times now. And I haven't had any problems with it, anything cracking or anything. Also, this is another thing I wanted to mention is that I saw that on the Rip's Garage Tech website, they also sell Ultem scales for the AD20.5 for the small pivot though, not the big pivot. And their scales, they also, along with the scales, they give you a warning. They tell you not to use Loctite with Ultem. Apparently, Loctite will cause Ultem to crack. So you do not want to use Loctite with Ultem. And so knowing that, I took this one all apart again because I had to use some Loctite. I always use Loctite on the pivots. I don't use Loctite on the body screws because I like to be able to take them apart easily. But I always use a little bit of Loctite, a little bit of blue Loctite on the pivot because I don't want it to move. It helps it to keep it from moving and stuff like that. So I took it all the way apart and cleaned it all out. And there is the only thing that's on there now is just a little bit of that factory blue Loctite. But none of the Loctite that I added onto it is on there from Permatex or whatever the company's called. Anyway, so that's a little tip I wanted to put out there for everybody. But other than that, I really love these people. As a matter of fact, y'all know that I have like every kind of AD20.5, you know what I mean? So that, these are my little knives. This is how I keep all my little knives. These are pretty much all AD20.5s. These are Civivis. Most of these are Civivis and Protex and what other? And I was thinking about these because I got the new Civivis. But most of these are Civivis, people. This is how I keep my Civivis. And I keep them in here with my all my different AD20.5, just like the original Civivi. These are Protex. These are the last ones that were in my drawer. This one now replaced this one. And this one got replaced by this one, the one that's in my pocket. And this one was in my drawer recently too, with this one. But these are all my titanium ones. These are all titanium. This is the Damascus, the most expensive one. And these are the titanium cold steel ones. And this is original goat titanium, and this is a Rip's Garage Tech titanium. This is the first one I bought. That's my very first one. This is aluminum, original goat. Rip's Garage Tech micarta. Rip's Garage Tech micarta. And I forget the maker of this one. I'm going blank on it, people. But that's micarta handle scales too. All right. I just brought that out there because I just want to let everybody see that I have been through all kinds of AD20.5s. I like these the best. I like this model the best. This model the best. Not necessarily, with the Ultem scales. I'm talking about like this blade type. And I like the slicer model. The slicer model, is my understanding, is the model without the thumb stud. They removed this thumb stud because they said the thumb stud got in the way, and they thinned out the behind the edge, the blade grind behind the edge. So it's it's a slicier blade, even though it's the same blade thickness. But I absolutely love this model, people. Absolutely love it. And this is a steal right now. You know, you can still get these for $139. This is a 20 CV blade. 20 CV blade. These are Ultem scales. Now, Ultem has some issues. You know, like you got to take care of it the right way. You don't clean it with like any kind of cleaners or anything. It's my understanding. Just use, you know, water if you feel like you got to clean it. You don't want to use like chemicals on it, like I don't know, like Loctite and what's the other one? Somebody used something else on it, mess up their Ultem scales too. But you know, you gotta be careful about the chemicals that you use on it. But supposedly it's supposed to be very heat resistant. That's a good thing about it. That separates it from like regular plastic. And it does look cool. And it's super light. It is super light. You know, like I said, I've had this one apart, you know, several times. When I put it back together, I always, you know, make sure I don't put the screws in real tight. I just like, you know, just finger tight. That's all. That's all you need to do. This knife doesn't fall apart. It's a great utility knife for $139, people. Because normally this was, you know, before they had issues with the Ultem cracking. I guess people had problems with it cracking, and it might be because they're using Loctite and stuff like that too. Because so far, you know, this is still, you know, fairly new for me, but I've been using it, and I've been looking for cracks. I haven't found anything. It's holding up perfectly fine. But even if it did crack, you could always get, you know, go ahead and get some scales for it. I paid $47 for these on the 4th. There was a 4th of July sale. A Flightanium. These are the wavelength. The thick G10 wavelength scales with texture in them. They're purple G10. These are made in Utah, American made. With the Lynch Northwest pocket clip. Both of these got Lynch Northwest pocket clips with Skiff bearings inside. Oh, that's another cool thing, people. The bearings in these use the same bearings as the AD20S models. That's why I had bearings laying around. Because I had bearings for my AD20S models. And that's what's in these. These 1/4 inch pivot, 1 millimeter thick, 22 ceramic ball bearings encaged in ceramic and phosphorus bronze cages, milled cages. That's what's in these right now. Absolutely love them, people. Beautiful knives. I tend to like the thicker scales myself. And I've experienced, you know, thicker scales. And that's the reason why I got these scales, because I had them from the previous year. I had the Flightanium scales for the small pivot with the purple G10 scales. That's my previous Purple Rain, 80/20 Purple Rain. This is the new one. And that one had a DLC coated Oz 10 clip or buoy blade. Pretty much the same handle except for the pivot size. And I had brass OG Goat backspacer on it with brass Flightanium thumb studs. This one doesn't have thumb studs. So I didn't want to put a backspacer on this one because it looked kind of weird if it was just by itself, to me anyway. I'd rather have the black barrel spacers. I think that looks better. Absolutely love this. 3.8 ounces. This is 3.3 ounces. 3.3 ounces. These are awesome knives. And people who like thin knives, this is very thin. 3.1 millimeter thick blade, or 1.125 inch or whatever. Beautiful knife, people. And that's what this one is too. This one came with this one has Ultem scales too that came with. The Demko Ultem scales. But I swapped them out for the Flightanium scales because I just like the little bit thicker grip. I tend to like the thicker grip. I just know that from my experience with 80/20.5s. I prefer the thicker grips. One downside to the thicker grip though is that to make this all fit, they have to sink in the pivots and all the other screws really deep. I don't mind on the body screws because then you can't feel the body screws. body screws is cool like that, as opposed to being like this, where they're exposed. These are sunken, so you don't feel them. And the same thing goes for this, but that is kind of weird to me sometimes. But the way that I sort of overcame a little bit of it, let me show you what I did. Get the right box here. Okay, this is how I keep like my washers and stuff like that for my knives and stuff. But what I did is I added a washer to the pivot. A washer to the pivot on the inside of the pivot, on the inside and on this side. So it took away some of the sinking of it and made it a little bit more flush to the scale. I don't know what size these are, but that's what I use. You can make it fit a little bit nicer. You know, it doesn't really matter. You don't have to do that. It's just something I did because, you know, I'm a little nitpicky like that. I just like the way it, you know, it fits now. And this knife is so smooth. I love it. I love it. And the things I love about these new knives with you know, the slicer blades or whatever you want to call them, the spear points, drop points, slicer blades, whatever you want to call them is fine with me. The thing I like about them is the blade shape, because now I think of this as a self-defense folder too. I think this is a very effective 3-inch blade self-defense folder. And reverse grip, it feels beautiful in my hand with the thicker grips. Feels good with the thinner grips too, but it even feels better with these grips. The forward grip, now if y'all don't know, if you put your thumb on the back of the shark fin, there's no way that can come unlocked. You're locked in, and there's no way that blade can come unlocked. I don't care what you hit the back of the spine with. It's not coming unlocked. This is a beautiful little knife. Absolutely love them, people. I like them so much, I ordered 2 more. But this one, you know, is going to get, it might get tricked out. I'm not sure if I'm going to do, you know, leave this one like it is because it works so fine, you know, works perfectly, and I don't really want to mess with it because it just functions perfectly. I love the way it functions. And I might get, I ordered another set so I can have a collector set. I wanted a collector set of the black and the Stonewash and the Ultems with the slicer blades. A collector set means a set that I'm not going to use. And this is going to be the set that I use. And this one's probably going to get turned into an aluminum one. An original goat aluminum kit. And so that, you know, that's my plans for those, you know, because I ordered a thick original goat aluminum kit. It's thicker than the regular aluminum kits that they have. The thick kit it's like this, it doesn't show the front pins. The standard kit shows the front pins. The front pins are these pins right here. They're exposed because the scales are thinner. When you use the thicker scales, they cover the pins. Like this. See how you can't see the pins? Because these are thicker scales. These are like almost 13 millimeters, and these are like 9 millimeters thick. The girth of them. And just that little bit of extra thickness makes a difference to me. For my hands, it makes it, you know, go from being okay to awesome. This is an awesome grip right here. This is a good grip too, but it just feels looser in my hand. I don't know how to explain it. It feels like it could roll in my hand or just looser in my hand. When it's got a little bit of extra girth to it, it's like a perfect fit. It doesn't want to move at all. So that's what I prefer. But I want to have a couple of these just to collect. And it'll probably be the new ones I'll collect, people. I won't. This one's a used one now. All right, people. Well, that's it on those. I think that's got everything I wanted to put out on there. Don't use Loctite or any kind of chemicals on Ultem. From what I understand, that's the thing that causes these scales to crack. And when you put it together, don't over tighten the screws. That's another thing that can cause it to crack. Those are two things I've heard, people. I really like the way the Ultem scales look. They look really cool. I think if you maintain them properly, I think they'll last a long time. The Ultem scales on my Civivi, I've never had any issues with those. Anyway, peace out. Stiletto.